and welcome to another exciting edition of W.A.N.K, the weekly AEW news kick. I'm your host Tom, joined as always by Patrick. Hello, Patrick. Delightful. And also...
Return of the Jack. Return of the Jack.
It's the return of the Jack, our cheap pop carrot top, our... there's got to be another. You can't injure the ginger. He's here. It's Jack. Way!
I'm back.
So, as usual, if there's any breaking news stories, we address them first. I suppose we should go in chronological order. Chronological?
Chronological.
And oh, we're professional here. So we should start in chronological order and go with Jon Moxley showing up on New Japan Strong. Did anyone watch New Japan Strong in its entirety, other than me today? That's a no.
Yeah,
was it released today or?
No. It was a week ago.
Yeah, I did.
Did you guys watch it?
But the Jon Moxley bit you're referring to, I didn't watch it, but I know what happened. He obviously, he appeared, and it's just good to see Jon Moxley back in New Japan. I know Patrick prefers Jon Moxley in New Japan, so he's going to be happy. And it's just like, it's nice because he's held that title for over a year now, and it has been tricky because of COVID. So it's nice he's getting back into it, and he can defend, and especially it's the new beginning in it. So it's nice to see he's back. He's back. I was about to say where he belongs. He doesn't necessarily just belong in New Japan. He belongs to the whole wrestling world. It's nice that AEW. That's it. AEW's not holding him. They're not stealing him. They're sharing the Mox love.
That with any of their talent.
I know, but you know what I mean. He's back at New Japan, and we love it.
Is Strong recorded in the US, by the way, or taped in the US?
Yeah, it's their US dojo.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, get on it from the beginning, I say. Because it's, NJPW have also signed a deal with Roku in the US and the UK and elsewhere, maybe Canada. And there's another new weekly show coming that will be exclusive to that. I don't know what it's called, something like New Japan World Wrestling or something really boring. But yeah. So they are making great strides trying to continue their Western expansion, which kind of started with Kenny Omega's Bullet Club, really. So that, I guess we should go straight into Dynamite. It opened with the Tag Team Battle Royal, and Jungle Boy's music was, frankly, a great way to start a beach-themed show for me. It really got me in the party mood. Jack, what did you make of the Battle Royal?
I loved it. There was a lot to love in it. There was loads of standout performances. I won't jump straight to the end for a particular standout performance, but I thought, when I was going into it, and I spoke to Tom earlier before recording this, and we tried not to talk much about Dynamite, but sometimes it gets out there. And I actually thought going into it, Santana and Ortiz were going to win. I thought I could see it from a storyline perspective of MJF and Chris Jericho winning the Inner Circle tag, and then they end up getting the title shot. I thought it made sense, but no, lots of stand-up performances. John Silver, as always, showing what he's got, and Alex Reynolds actually getting eliminated first, but John Silver managing to, stay for a long time. Luchasaurus actually got eliminated a lot earlier than I thought, but Jungle Boy obviously stayed in quite a long time. What other stand-up performances were there for me? Top Flight, and especially, and I'm going to butcher which one it is, so Tom, correct me. Is it Dante Martin, the one that stayed in to the end? Or is it Darius?
I remember.
Anyone know? Let's just
Darius.
Darius. Thank you, Patrick. So Darius was right at the end, and even though you knew he wasn't going to win it, I thought he put in a great show, and they looked great as well. But yeah, so the one that ended up winning, MJF Chris Jericho. Again, me and Tom talked about earlier, and Tom will explain why. But Tom loved it. I actually wasn't a fan because I think there was a lot better tag teams in there that I would prefer have the title shot. Like I said, Santana Ortiz, I could have seen being a great pay-per-view match, and the storyline would have worked there as well. I like the idea of Young Bucks winning it for the Good Brothers match, but they don't want to jump the gun too early. So basically, long story short, I think there was a lot of great potential matches. I don't doubt there's going to be a great match at Revolution, but I just think I'm not too sure I'm too much of a fan of it.
Yeah, I like the finish. I like the choice. I think it's got a big fight feel to it, them versus the Young Bucks, which is important for Revolution. They've got a lot to live up to last year, especially in terms of a tag match at Revolution. It's kind of feels like slowly becoming their kind of de facto main show, even though I think that's supposed to be All Out. But Revolution just feels big now, like they've set a very high bar. And I think this stuff with MJF is the most intriguing story in the company. Well, second most, obviously, but the other one's a cross-promotional thing. In terms of solely AEW storylines, I think it's the most intriguing storyline going at the moment. I'm a big fan of it. It gives me very old-school WWE Attitude Era story vibes with the storytelling. A couple of other performances. I still like... I like the Acclaimed, but their rap this time felt pretty crap. I usually think they're quite good at it, but it was a bit phoned in. Maybe they just wrote it with a few minutes to spare behind the scenes. But yeah, there was a big boo went up when Silver was eliminated. Reynolds went out a lot earlier than I would have thought. But then I thought, okay, they're going to give John Silver a big kind of solo thing and make him a big solo feature in this match. But then he went out not too long after. He had a bit of a solo show, but then he did go out and didn't make it to like the final four or anything, did he? I also thought it was interesting that JR called the private party elimination illegal, because didn't someone drag their legs from outside? Was it one of the Good Brothers, I think, came and because of their Impact feud for the titles, and he called that an illegal elimination, and like as if there was disqualifications, and called for a ref or something. He was like, oh, the ref needs to see that or something. It's like, well, not really, because we also had the Royal Rumble this past week, which we'll talk about in less important shows, but we had Omos, is his name, the big dude that comes out with AJ Styles. He was pulling people off the apron left, right and centre, so clearly it doesn't matter in these battle royals. But just something I noticed. Patrick, what were your thoughts on this battle royal?
Same as you, mostly. Like what Jack said is right, but I think the outcome of it is, like you said, also is better when you have the heel team in this case to keep on telling the storyline. So I like the finish that they were clearly or Chris Jericho in the end also not the best wrestler in the ring, and he makes somehow the win for the team. And that's a heel finish, which leaves you behind with, there are way better teams which should have won and so on. But in the end, that's the heel heat they're getting. This is what I like about it. I think in the future we'll see also the other teams. For Top Flight, it would have been definitely too early to be in a pay-per-view match, but I can see where this is going. Like from storytelling wise, that was good. Also, that Private Party got eliminated through the Good Brothers who were at ringside. Then, there was some nice storytelling in it, which I liked. And all in all, it wasn't the best battle royal because it was also like it was hard to focus on it a little bit because it was there was so much happening. There were so many teams at once in the ring, which is not that much in the Royal Rumble at once. Can
I just add, Patrick, on that note you saying that?
Sure.
I find that a lot with AEW battle royals when they've done them. It is hard to focus on a lot of time about who's in the ring, and you do get lost with who's eliminated, I find.
Yeah, and not only as a viewer, also you saw the director also got completely not completely confused, but they switched to the wrong cameras in between. There was a nice spot from was it on the outside? Was it not? No, Let's Archer was not in the match. Stu Grayson was in the match.
I think I know
Stu Grayson,
but I didn't write down who.
Yeah, right. So this was a nice spot, and I think it was Jake Hager who did that with them. Jake Hager and him were doing that on the apron, and before
I remember Jake being involved in a big strong spot.
Yeah, like a blink of an eye before it was happening, this thing, the camera switched away to the ring and then back, and then it was gone. And I was like, Jesus. So that's what I have to say. These tiny things, these are the ones which I don't like yet with the AEW production, and they still have to work on that the director and the TV van has to be a little better on these things. Maybe they have to teach them a little better, because this is still, I saw that now also last week on the Royal Rumble. WWE is really best at it because they have the perfect production crew for that you don't miss that, except from the Rumble for like 5 years ago when AJ Styles debuted, but that's another another point. So all in all, an okay battle royal, and good for storytelling.
I just want to come back to what you said about, very correctly said about it's a heel thing, not having the best wrestlers winning. Like, MJF wasn't even particularly that involved for a lot of it, and that was intentional. They called him out for it because they were like, he's just hiding there and letting Jericho do the work. He was kind of ducking under the turnbuckle a bit. So very MJF. And I agree with what you said about Top Flight. They're far too green at the moment. They also don't really have their own identity for me yet that really sets them apart from any of the other high-flying tag teams that, we've got Private Party, TH2, Young Bucks, Lucha Brothers in a sense, although one of those is much more high-flying than the other, and you never want to try and be the next Lucha Brothers because you're going to come up short. But, yeah, I'm sure they'll get there. They're definitely promising. One thing that was fantastic was during the intros we had a clip of that super kick that Sammy Guevara took way back when, and it's always a good day when I see that because that's probably one of the best sales in AEW history. But yeah,
definitely. That was sick to see it again, really. No, definitely. I was also, when they showed that, I was like, wow, that was so sick back then, really. Like, also still to see, like now in retrospective, how many of these like big spots, kicks, whatever, were against Sammy. Like you see that he clearly is the guy, the green guy who always has to take the big spots. And
but I mean, he's
I hope they build up from that.
I was saying he's an all-rounder. The way, his selling is just one part of his game.
Yeah,
and the thing he did with the infamous now, the golf cart, how he just bounced off that. Do you know what I mean? It's fun. He can job to a golf cart. It's amazing. he's really.
So that's.
Can't praise Sammy highly enough.
That's such a great spot
face in this feud going forward.
Yeah, and that was also one of the most iconic spots, I would say, in AEW, and WWE even copied it, but we can talk about that later.
After this, we had a promo from Jay Cargill. They really won her over, don't they? I mean, she's got the look. She's kind of very buff, but I think just have her come out and start throwing women about. Do you know what I mean? Don't this it's not the right way to get her over. I don't think, because she's just going to put her next to Shaq, and I'm drained. I don't even want to talk about this. Can we not talk about this? Can we just go on to the next one?
Yeah, we cannot talk about this, and maybe we can also not talk about the next one, really.
Oh, we've got to talk about the next one, unfortunately.
Well, I was just
and Darby Allin.
No, I was just about to say it's nice that we're cutting out Jade Cargill for 1 week. I think we give her enough shit on this podcast. I think we can miss it for an episode.
Give her a break. Two who aren't getting a break is Sting and Darby Allin. I guess I'll come to you, Patrick, because you so wanted to talk about this. What were your thoughts on this interview? Obviously, Team Taz was stuck outside. I can't even really remember much of what Darby Allin said. If he said anything, I think it was mainly a Sting bit, talking about how Ricky Stark has said it's not like looking at an icon anymore, and I mean, he's got a good point. What were your thoughts on this promo?
I just say 3 words: copy and paste. That's everything I want to say about it, really. There's nothing to add. There's nothing special about it. It's always the same structure. They come out. They do all the time the Sting entrance, the complete long entrance. The entrance is longer than the segment itself. And they're just standing in the ring talking like... They're not even talking like more than 2 sentences or so. And then it's again, it's Taz again. Taz is somewhere in the building now outside. So I really don't care. And I'm looked at the watch today. I was like, shit, it's still a month to go until Revolution, so we will have this for another fucking month, that we have to see this all the time instead of giving these 4 minutes of completely crap to another, like, to adding it to another match, giving it to another story, giving it to another younger wrestler maybe. They just do like matches. Now in this case, I have to say, since it's so much time left, of course Darby will have next week a championship match against Joey Janela, but they could do in this case the WWE thing that they are just doing every week a match, like building up something, like when they want to build up for a pay-per-view, that they're mixing them together in tag teams, but they have to do a match before, otherwise no one will be interested in the match anymore and more annoyed. Like, I'm just speaking for me, but I can see Jack is also curious to tell us his opinion.
Right, buckle in, folks, because this is going to be a ride. Oh my god, this for me. I think I disliked this more than Jade Cargill bit, and Jade Cargill's the worst part.
Well, there was no words in the Jay Cargill thing.
Exactly,
It was just a promo of her looking hench.
It was, but this, right, where do I start? So, same thing as Patrick, copy and paste the entrance. Tony Schiavone, first we're going to welcome Darby. Darby comes down. Now we're going to welcome Sting. Extra long intro for Sting that's longer, exactly what Patrick said. So, I didn't realise this was happening in this show because obviously when they do the card, the preview, so I didn't know it's happening. When they then said after the Battle Royal coming up next, we talked to Darby Allin and Sting, and I said this to Tom earlier, I literally tutted. When it said that, I was like and rolled my eyes to myself.
I mean that's the biggest condemnation you can get from a Brit. So
literally, but I was just I literally was like just sat in bed watching it, and I was like, why are we doing this again? And the thing that made Tom laugh when I told him earlier is that was my reaction to being told a Darby Allin and Sting bit. They're then out, obviously get cut by Team Taz. As soon as I heard Taz's voice on the mic, I literally said, no one else in the room, just to myself, oh, fuck off. Literally, because I'm that done with it that and the same as Pat, we got a month to Revolution. Is this going to happen every week? And then thirdly, the whole, you made a point, Tom. What Ricky Stark said, it's not wrong. And then, being told that you've got a TNT title match with Joey Janela next week. So I've got a problem with this, and the problem is not Joey Janela. Joey Janela's fine. I love Joey Janela's wrestling. I don't like title matches like this where there's no build-up. I need a little bit of build-up, something. Joey Janela and Darby, when will they last even in a room together? Why is this a title match? It clearly is, like Patrick said, a WWE thing where it's just, we'll have a match each week leading to the pay-per-view to give you some sort of hype and, And it's just, I feel sorry for Joey Janela because he needs more screen time. He's a great wrestler. We've seen him in, the indies before AEW started. And he's just getting thrown into these. It's not going to be an AEW squash match as such, but it's going to be a match where obviously Darby's winning. He's not losing Joey Janela. It's just to show how good he is. It's more going to be focused on Sting and Team Taz and the outside. And again, I just feel sorry for Darby because he's got this title now. He literally was one of the best things going in AEW up till he got the title. And it's just, and I said it before, just being overshadowed by Sting and even Team Taz at this point. And Darby Allin is I don't even know how to describe it. It's like Darby Allin's your most valuable thing in this whole, maybe Sting, but yeah, he's the title holder, and yet everyone else is showing him up. And to correct you, Tom, he literally didn't say anything when he was out. He did not say one word this week. I
couldn't remember where he did that. But...
and that I think sums up the rant. But yeah, not happy at the moment it's going. I think I love the match at Revolution. Don't get me wrong, it's a street fight and it's great, but I just don't like the build up to it, and that's me.
I really enjoyed the other week when Team Taz attacked even though it was a bit corny, and we talked about actually liking it when Team Taz attacked those t-shirt guys. And I'll tell you why I liked it so much. It wasn't particularly exciting segment compared to any other, but it was just because they did something with it. Do you know what I mean? They did something with the storyline. They mixed it up a little instead of just standing there slanging at each other. Do you know what I mean? With just empty words as well. Because I know Jack has. I don't know, Patrick, have you ever watched The Walking Dead? I think it was I wouldn't recommend it. If you do, just first 3.5 seasons, then you're good. I think it was
literally
the season 4 finale. The season 4 finale. I remember this whole, the group of heroes, they're stuck in a storage container. They've been put in there by a load of cannibals. And then Rick, the main guy, he's like, they made a big mistake. And then someone's like, why? And there's like a big tense music and a zoom in on his face. And you think he's going to say something like, because I've planted a bomb somewhere or something like that. And he just goes, they're messing with the wrong people, and that's how they end the thing. And that's kind of what this reminds me of. This segment reminded me of when Sting was saying Ricky says he doesn't see the icon when he looks at me anymore. Well, Ricky, look a little closer. Just empty bullshit.
Literally, it's terrible.
This isn't the kind of, and in the same sense as that show, it was like, this isn't the kind of holy oh shit moment you think it is. You know, it's just more empty posturing, and I'm just done with it. Like, would you guys say this was the low point of Dynamite, as we're talking about the highs and lows, the ups and downs?
Yes. Like, yeah. So, but I think they can underbeat it next week again if they're doing the same shit every week again. You know, like, if they're repeating it, they're just making it worse and worse and worse. And it's even worse than Miro's character right now. But we'll come to that later.
For me, let me try and remember the rest of the show. I think probably because it was the only point in the show where I actually said out loud, "Oh, fuck off." So, yeah, probably is a low point for me.
Then I'm going to give this my shocker of the week.
Amazing. Amazing.
That was a sound that just... people have probably heard this before if they've got the SoundPad app, because that was one of the four stock sounds that came with it. But I just wanted to use it. I've only got Return of the Mac that I downloaded myself, and the rest is just the stuff that came with the software. So I've got to get my licks in.
That's when I was like last on radio, and you get like given this little soundboard. It's like a correct and like a buzzer.
I'm going to use them all.
Yeah,
what else have I got? I've got that. I've got the I've got a firework and a cue, whatever that means. So I'm gonna try and slip them in. But I think shocker of the week. I'm going with it with a segment going forward. Why not? Next, we had Dr. Britt Baker, DMD versus Thunder Rosa. I was very excited for this one. I think the girls impressed again, as they have done for me about 3 or 4 weeks in a row. I mean, I'll start talking about this. I think I saw some great ring awareness from Britt. I don't know if many people picked up on this, like when she had to get her foot on the ropes when she was in a kind of tough submission to even move her body. She had to be in the right place before it and stuff. Thunder Rosa is so good, and Britt did well at getting beaten down and just letting her go to town on her and show her kind of expertise. Always good storytelling in Britt Baker matches for me. There's always good. She takes it outside the ring a lot, especially during breaks, but then she gives you something to watch during the break with the stuff she does out there, like pushing Rosa's head into the post, or the other week where they did the makeup spot. Really nice air raid crash from Britt as well. It was nice to see that, and slightly sloppy finish, but Rosa sold it amazingly. Like she was knocked the fuck out, and I love that she didn't tap, because part of me was going, you know, she got knocked out, and part of me, and she sold it like she was actually out, and I was like, oh, please don't have a tap, because then that would have been overselling. Please make it so that she is knocked out and can't answer the tap. Don't try and make Britt look strong just by having a tap when she was just a second ago knocked out. And thankfully they didn't. Good solid match for me. I don't know what you guys thought about it.
Yeah, I was so hyped for this match. The first time in a very long time, and I notice this every week. Usually every week the women's match is the fifth match, the one before the main event. I don't know if any of you guys notice. It's usually every week that order, and this week it was the second match. So it's nice to see them mix it up. Don't know why they did it that way, but it was nice to see it. But in terms of match, I love these two girls. I think they are both actually my favourite female wrestlers in AEW. Everyone knows I really like Britt. I really love her character, especially the development it's had in the last year, and her wrestling has got better. And Thunder Rosa, I never knew Thunder Rosa before she came AEW, and I just think she's so badass. And to see them two wrestle together, I hope it's not over. I hope Thunder Rosa does something to Lee, because that could have been a pay-per-view match. I was so hyped. It was such a good match, and Tom mentioned all the great spots. I like the fact that, you know, it was a very even match in my mind. I liked the technical side of it, where Thunder Rosa, you know, is targeting the areas like the hand to stop from doing lockjaw. Love that element of it. I actually really like the finish of knocking her out, because I think that doesn't show a sign of weakness. Like Tom said, if she had tapped out, you'd be like...
Well, and it means it's not over as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So you want it to carry on for longer.
It leaves an open end, and I just thought it was really good. I love having Reba, not Rebel, on the side, because I just think she adds a little bit to it. Like when she tries to get involved and she gets scared away, that adds... I just love Britt Baker matches because of the pairing of, Reba, not Rebel, and Britt. And I just think Thunder Rosa is an absolute gem in the AEW. Same as Serena Deeb. And they have really, this year, as you mentioned it last year, 2021 really is the year of the women. There's not been a bad match, and I know we'll talk about the women's tournament coming up later, but I just think I could see it. I think it was their New Year's resolution to fix it, and I think they're really doing. The only thing I think they've got to work on next is they've got good individual matches going. They've made them good matches. Now they've got to work on the storyline elements and maybe even like forming like tag teams and like faction sort of thing. You know, actually make them into bigger storylines, not just like immediate storylines. But they're definitely a lot of improvement. And yeah, the match for me, potentially one of the match nights, but I know we'll talk about that in the end.
You make a really good point about factions, actually. You never really kind of noticed that AEW is a promotion absolutely chock-a-block with factions, and yet there's not a female faction. That would be kind of interesting.
I mean, unless you count the Vicious Vixens, but I mean, they're just like a duo.
Well, no, that's two. Yeah. I don't count a tag team as they're not even a tag team. But
the only other... which
was the Nightmare Collective.
Yeah, but the only other female...
down the storm.
That's it. The only other female in a faction is Anna Jane Dark Order, which obviously doing well. But I would love to see an all-female faction.
Yeah, but that's not a female. Yeah, exactly.
But like a badass woman faction, like involving like
get Thunder Rosa in there.
Yeah, like Thunder Rosa and Layla Hirsch and like all these kind of.
Just gonna say Layla Hirsch.
Yeah, but I just think AEW could do with it, and even I don't even know who else you're going there, but it's definitely getting better. And yeah, factions another thing which. It takes time because AEW is a new company and they're only just they've still got stuff working on the men's. The women's is definitely a thing that's, growing. It's definitely a lot better. But it's getting there. And I think everyone can see that.
Definitely. Patrick, what were your thoughts on this women's match?
Nothing real that much to add. You mostly said everything. Yeah. I can only say my opinion.
But you were a fan of it, match.
Yeah, I was a fan of it. Really getting back to business after this shitty Sting sequence again, seeing some proper wrestling then again, because it was a lot of mat wrestling. This is also what I liked from Britt Baker. I was sure that Thunder Rosa was capable of it, but Britt also, so she definitely also improved her wrestling skills over the years, not only mic skills, but also the wrestling skills. I like the dirty finish that also what Jack said, that she was knocked out and then couldn't tap out or so, that she wouldn't tap out to really. That was nice storytelling. And also, I think we haven't seen the last bit of a match like this. Maybe they're stretching it a little bit until Revolution for a rematch or so, and then it will be even better than this one, I guess.
Well, as Jack said, it could be a pay-per-view match, so, you wouldn't be surprised to see it be a pay-per-view match. After that, we had Hangman Page and Matt Hardy versus Chaos Project. Went to Jack first last time, and I just want to foster that anger about an appearance from Chaos Project, so I'm going to come to Patrick first. Patrick, what did you think about Hangman Page and Matt Hardy versus the mighty Chaos Project?
Let's stay positive on this one. Let's just address the nice things about it. That was the storytelling.
I'll tell you what, Patrick, you do positives, I'll do negatives. Let's go with that.
Okay, that's good. Let's just channel. I go with the positive things. It was storyline-wise a nice match. The storytelling in it was fine. The Hangman Page's moveset and everything. Hangman Page was super quick and fast. Like, although he's a little more muscly guy, he's so fast in the ring. I was really, really impressed by that. Also, Serpentico was doing a very good job again. He's really, really good. They should do a lot more with him in the future, so I can see a really good future in it. Also, I was thinking about that also, if they're gonna do a lucha tournament or at one point like a cruiserweight tournament title for the TNT or so, that would be perfect, because you got so many in that division which shouldn't compete in heavyweight but should have like a nice tournament or title shot or anything like that, and have more screen time on Dynamite itself. And Serpentico's definitely one guy who deserves that a lot. And that were the positive things about it. And the match was over, which was also positive because it wasn't that long. It was clearly a squash match, but I think the Chaos Project, they are very good for squash matches. So now Jack can jump in.
Well, I'll just come to you first, and I'll give you my positives. I'll do my positives with you and then my negatives with Jack. What were my positives about this match? Come on, I can do this. Hangman had a lot of... Something I noticed from him in this match, he had a lot of stamina and energy. And I don't know whether that's just taking the benefit of a tag match and a short tag match at that. but the ability to do that over long periods of time, which is something Kenny Omega excels at as well. And again, we said, oh, maybe it's because it's a tag match, but I remember specifically his match with Kota Ibushi against the Young Bucks at Strong Style Evolved. That was just such a high work rate for about an hour. So it might have gone over an hour. I don't know if it had a time limit, but or no, it came very close to an hour because people thought it was going to be a time limit draw. It was like 55 minutes or something, and it was just such high work rate that even though it was a tag match, you're like, wow, this is insane. And for me, that's if you had to distill what makes a good wrestler, because there are different types of wrestlers. You've got your technical wrestlers, you've got your high flying wrestlers, you've got your brawlers. So what's in common that makes them a good wrestler? And for me, that's your stamina and your work rate, and just your ability to keep storytelling's part of it, of course, but I mean, this kind of reaffirmed our choice for me, seeing Hangman go in. He came out the blocks really hard to make him wrestler of the year. He's fantastic, and I hope this is his year. I mean, I think it'll be Kenny's year, but maybe towards the arse end of it, it can start to become Hangman's year, and then Hangman's 2022. Hardy tagging himself in. How do we feel about this story as well? It's consistent from what he's doing, and it adds to the story of him kind of using people. Jack, it's negative time. Come on, Mr. Bad Cop. What were the issues with this match for you?
I love that I am the negative Nelly, because in my life, everyone's always called me the positive one.
In this match.
So it's
in this match.
But I just love being negative ones. Can we just, when you make an error on like a document or like Photoshop, and you can just undo it, or you can just highlight it and delete it. Can we just do that from Chaos Project in AEW? Because I just don't
all collectively agree to just act like it never happened.
Yeah,
talk about it anymore.
I swear, if they're in the AEW game, I'm going to be so disappointed.
There definitely will be.
But I just dislike him. And I feel like I'm just a broken record, but I just feel like it needs to be sent. Patrick, I always appreciate your opinions. I think you got some great opinions on this podcast, but Serpentico is not one of them. Me and Tom were talking about this earlier.
I agree.
And he's just an average wrestler. And I don't know whether...
I think he's a cookie cutter luchador, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he's just a B-Tech luchador. And I think the only reason he looks okay is because he's tagged with Luther, who I just... You know what? I saw there was a shot in the match of Luther stepping out the ring. I think he tagged Serpentico in. That dude is so out of shape. Like, you're a wrestler, you're getting paid good money. This is literally your job. At least try to be in shape. Try to trim up. I don't care if
you can be out of shape. You can be out of shape if you're Joe Janela's not in the best shape, and he quite infamously just goes backstage and drinks a bottle of Jack Daniels, and Jack Daniels has a smoke after a match. Possibly why he's never been booked into the big spots, but he can still go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Still go, especially in his style of match. Luther can't go. He lumbers around the ring. Do you know what I mean? So it's all well and good being big or being unhealthy, quote unquote, but
no, and he's just so slow, and it's just any time that I was so close to fast forward in this match and just cut into the end because I knew the result. I knew it was just a storyline match for Matt Hardy and Hangman, and I just couldn't be bothered. I genuinely don't think I could be bothered watching them anymore, and just put them to. And you know what's so upsetting is there's so many good tag teams in AEW. Even on Dark, I've seen a couple that would kill for a spot like that, a match with Hangman and Matt Hardy, that deserve it. That are genuinely good teams. Like there was one that was in the Lumberjack match, which I saw, who just looked good. Bear Country, is that who you're thinking of?
Yep.
Yeah. Who just look like they could really be something different for AEW, and they deserve.
I agree. I've got more to say about them later, but I do agree that they fit the bill.
Yeah, and it's just so sad that they're wasting. It's not wasting away on Dark because it's still a platform, but you've got a tag team like that who are different. They're bigger lads. You may say, okay, when you're looking at tag teams in AEW, maybe Evil Uno's a bit of a bigger lad, or Butcher and Blade, but these are Otis from WWE size blokes and
units.
Yeah, units, but they look cool and they're different, and you could just tell and there's others like Top Flight again, these tag teams are just appreciating a Dynamite spot. It's a platform to grow, and it's such a shame. Hangman, one of the biggest stars in AEW, Matt Hardy, these tag teams up and coming would kill for a spot like that, and it's just being wasted on like a 50-year-old Japanese deathmatch legend Luther and Serpentico, a B-Tech luchador. And I think that's all negatives. One positives, I really like the ending with Matt Hardy tagging in and claiming the win and getting a pin, because it added to the private party storyline, and I like what they're doing there. That's my positive. The rest, yeah. I just want to, just delete Chaos Project from AEW and just forget that ever happened.
Hashtag delete Chaos Project. I mean, Matt Hardy was in the match, but it's the wrong iteration of Matt Hardy, unfortunately.
I can jump in there also for the Serpentico thing.
I was just about to say, hold your horses.
Right.
I was just about to say, do you have a defense for
not a real defense. I'm mostly like, I agree on the point, maybe that he's not as good as he might be, because I saw him before on Dark. Also, he was good, so I see more potential in him. But I also think like seeing him together with Luther drags his appearance down, like really down to the grave. Even he's dragging him with him into the grave, really, because I see some potential in him, definitely. But yeah, he doesn't look good. Like the tag team together they're doing is rubbish, is even nice said. But Chaos Project is really, really, really bad. So that's
Quickly,
what I want to say.
Their entrance music slaps. Does anyone else agree? Chaos Project's entrance music, I noticed. I was like, I hate that. I like
really
it.
Paying attention.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I was also like, who's that? Maybe Chris Jericho was responsible for it, giving it to his friend Luther. But really, guys, like, come on. This is so ridiculous. This tag team is I don't know. This is even worse than like the Legends tag teams from WWE when they're coming in. This is so bad. Like Luther is so out of shape, like really out of shape. He's so slow. He had a scripted botch. That's the good thing. I was already waiting to count the botches, but he had a scripted botch, which is something good. Maybe they put it in like, you miss him. That's good. Yeah, you think you could do that? Oh yeah, I could do that. That's easy for me. I do that every week, maybe. I don't know. So they're so bad, and the 4 minutes were actually way too long to give them screen time. Really, I hate to say it. I liked the interview with Luther on Talk is Jericho, and so like I think he's a nice guy, but just keep him as a producer or trainer in the background. I wouldn't even say trainer, because he trains them maybe then wrong. I don't know. It's just so bad. I haven't seen such a bad tag team in years, including WWE. Really, like, yeah.
Worthy winner for our worst wrestler of the year. Maybe we could introduce the counting the botches, and we'll have a segment every time he wrestles, so we have something to look forward to.
Yes, but just on Dynamite.
Appearances. Just on Dynamite, not watching Dark. Jack, you can volunteer for that if you like. It's not really volunteering if I ask you to do it, but go and watch all the Chaos Project matches.
I barely like watching Chaos Project on Dynamite. I'm never going to look at him on Dark.
Right, after that, we had a segment about the women's title tournament, and this was some much-needed clarification. Before I ask you guys your opinion on it, I will just reiterate that clarification. We now know that one side of the bracket takes place in the US, which explains why Riho was on that side. The other side will take place in Japan. Now, they haven't been clear about whether this will be on a different promotion, such as Stardom or something, or maybe Stardom will host it, but it will be AEW Presents, and maybe it will also be on AEW Plus, or maybe even on Dynamite, and they'll cut to a match that was filmed in Japan. It's exciting either way. And the Japanese bracket will be composed of Aja Kong, Yuka Sakazaki. Apologies if I mispronounce some of these, because some of them are new to me. Veni, Emi Sakura, Ryo Mizunami, Mei Suruga, Rin Kadokura, and Maki Ito. A few new names for me. I will just say I do know who Mai Iwatani is, so, I don't look so uncultured about Japanese wrestling, but most of them, other than the ones we've obviously seen on AEW, will be new to me. On the United States side, we have Serena Deeb, Riho, Britt Baker, Tay Conti, Thunder Rosa. I thought this side would be easier to pronounce. Nyla Rose, Anna Jay, and Layla Hirsch. I did it, guys. I'm through it. What do you make of this bracket and this format?
First of all, the clarification was very important for me to understand it. how this works now. So this was also like, okay, now it makes sense that Rio is in the US block. But I was also thinking she's in the US block, or maybe in the US block because she is more affiliated with AEW before, is maybe still under a contract with them. Yeah, I think now it makes more sense also with seeing or thinking about the ending of the show, that they're having a joint venture now with New Japan, or the parent company where Stardom is also belonging to now. These seem to be all Stardom wrestlers, so it might be a little more coming over there. Or this is where this came from, maybe. Also, same for me, Aja Kong, Yuka Sakazaki, and Emi Sakura are the ones which I know. The other ones never seen before. I'm not watching Stardom at all. I just know some of
tried
Stardom.
to sign up to Stardom so many times, but
it's hard, right?
Their website, it's hard. Their website isn't as easy to translate to English as New Japan World is. It might New Japan Pro Wrestling World. It might.
Why they just don't make it
changed.
that somebody makes an English website for them? That's actually not that hard. That's what they should really do. But yeah. I mean, like it's a great promotion from some things I saw. They should be way more open to the Western world. Also, I think there's a lot of potential in it because women's wrestling got a big push over the last years, and they are definitely on the forefront there. And yeah, like you also said, like I don't know anyone from them, but I'm really looking forward to getting to know them because I know there's a lot coming from it, and I like the Yoshi wrestling, the women's wrestling from Japan. They have a very good culture. They have very good trainers there, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Who's also coming over in the end? I think it might be like Yuka Sakazaki or Emi Sakura, someone like this, who's coming in the end over to the US. But let's see.
Sakazaki, I reckon.
Yeah.
Just to go back on what you said about contracts, I think Sakazaki and Sakura are still technically on AEW contracts. I think they're on the roster page. I don't know if their contracts are paused and they're just allowed to wrestle for Stardom in the meantime. Don't quote me. That's the situation I think it is. And I think it's just literally just where people are located. Do you know what I mean? Like the Japanese side of the bracket is because it's taking place in Japan. The American side because it's taking place in America rather than affiliations. I do agree with what you said. I know it's a little bit off topic, but about Stardom and how they can capitalize on getting popularity in the US. The perfect time to do it would be Kairi Hojo, when she's going to do her kind of year tour there and she wants to go back and wrestle in Japan. I don't know if she started that now or that's been put on hold because of coronavirus. Really should be more in the know about that. But I reckon she could bring a lot of eyes with her. Do you know what I mean? She's literally coming from the US to Japan. She could literally bring viewers with her. Not literally bring viewers with her, you know what I mean. Jack, thoughts on the tournament?
Yeah, I've not got too much to add, but I'm looking forward to it. And I think it's good that they've done it the way they've done it with the Japanese side and American side, because that means when it gets to the final and you've got the Japanese wrestler and the American wrestler, they've only got to, try and get them both in the same country for that one match instead of, trying to mix America and Japan and, But I'm also looking forward to the amount of matches they've got. And if you think there's 4 matches on each side of the bracket, that's 8. Yeah, so then 4, 2, 1. This is my maths butcher. But I think that's 14 matches overall. 13. Maths has not gone well there. But anyway, lots of good matches to look forward to for the women's division. Potential feuds starting, potential connections starting, obviously, which AEW is doing really well with Impact at the moment. And yeah, so it's nice to see that. Yeah, looking forward to it. I think the only problem I've got is rather Nyla Rose's spot go to someone else, like Penelope Ford or something. But, I get that they like Nyla Rose at AEW, so I'm not complaining. And she's facing Thunder Rosa, so I'm just hoping Thunder Rosa knocks her out first. But yeah, lots to look forward to. Looking forward to discovering some new female wrestlers, following them, hopefully get to see them more in AEW after this. But yeah.
There's 15 matches, Jack.
I was close. I said 13, 14. I was one or two off.
But yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. It will be nice to see some people we haven't seen before, and just they're doing all the right things and making all the right moves in the women's division. Apparently at the detriment of their men's division. Cough, sting, cough. But no, less said about that the better. Next we have we had a Jericho MJF / Inner Circle promo where they got was it Marvez again just popping up places who kind of wrangled them into an interview as they were going to celebrate with the boys. And Jericho kind of went after Sammy after he stormed out, and we had a little bit of intrigue where MJF said, you know, he wants to have a private convo that he wants to talk to the rest of the Inner Circle about, and Wardlow got the door and closed us viewers out. Thoughts on this, guys?
Yeah, I loved it. Again, we say the word story all the time, but it really does add to the story and adds that little bit of element. And I like the way they're treating the story. They're adding little bits at a time. It's like you've got a big jigsaw and they're just giving you a piece each time, and it's building up. Yeah, obviously in the match, Sammy went to super kick MJF. MJF ducked and it hit. Can't remember who it hit in the end. But anyway, that obviously happened, and then you have the part where Jericho ended up eliminating Sammy, whether by accident or on purpose, not too sure. But obviously the tensions are there, the fractions are there, and you can see it now. And obviously when you end up with this promo and the way it went, Sammy's saying, was it Jericho saying, talking to him as a collective, and Sammy then going, are we a collective though? Like, it just seems like it's you and us. And yeah, so it's like you're the main thing. And then obviously storming out, and then MJF, telling Wardlow to shut the door. I think if you had to guess like what they're talking about, MJF's obviously going to be bitching about Sammy to them. I think getting everyone to turn on Sammy is what I could imagine that conversation would be. But yeah, very exciting stuff.
He said it with Jericho out of the room as well, which I think is quite notable because Jericho is the leader of the Inner Circle.
Yeah.
He said it while Jericho was out of the room.
Yeah.
Right after Jericho left to go after Sammy. So what else could he be saying? Could he be making a bid for leadership? Or
yeah, for sure.
What's going on here?
Absolutely. And
I did say... Sorry, go on.
I was about to say it's fun watching Twitter afterwards, because obviously when they're keeping in character, as Sammy tweeted a picture after the staging stampede at the Inner Circle and the five of them, and it was like in a black and grey, like it was the past kind of thing. So it's a shame, but it's like they're looking back. But from a fan and a viewer point of view, it's such a great story.
Yeah, for sure. I suppose the problem with wrestling storylines is especially in this kind of post-kayfabe era, they can't really pretend they haven't seen stuff. So Sammy and Jericho can't pretend they didn't see them having a private conversation. You know, they may have been able to do that before in the Attitude Era or whatever. Personally, I'm kind of not a fan of it getting too meta and too real. Do you know what I mean? I'm okay with there being these invisible rules that are kind of laughable, like, you know, like they're not all watching Dynamite and stuff and pretend they... I'm okay with that, because you're really restricting your storytelling opportunities if you say everyone sees everything. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, that was just a side note that popped into my head there. What I will say that was kind of a little bit of a negative to me was I didn't really think Sammy was coming from a real legitimate grievance about the elimination, because they were on different sides in that match. And if Jericho had to, you know, if they were the final two, Jericho was going to have to eliminate him anyway. So, you know, if he eliminated him, especially as part of eliminating someone else, which was the case, then, you know, get over it. That's what they talk about in the Royal Rumble. Like, you have Matt and Jeff Hardy facing off in the middle of a Royal Rumble back in the day. Do you know what I mean? They're brothers. They don't, like, oh, we're brothers, you're not supposed to beat the shit out of me afterwards. It's like, you know, shake it off. Do you know what I mean? That happens in Battle Royals. So that it's just a very, very minor nitpick. But I'll come to you, Patrick. Thoughts on this segment and the direction of this storyline?
Yeah, I can jump into that directly. I think Sammy was more upset because it was a cheap shot behind the back elimination instead of like a forefront confronting elimination.
Again, I mean, there's no room for honor in Battle Royals.
Yeah, but I think that's always like in the storytelling the difference if you eliminate someone like really cheap from behind, or if you're just eliminating him like for face front. So I think that's the difference between it. This might be because he is pissed and he thinks everyone is conspiring like against him, or he's the only one who's not buying into that. It might be it, but in general you're right, because like why is he upset that he got eliminated from a guy who he's facing against in the Battle Royal. So yeah, I can also add the narrative here is very good. They told that perfectly for me. Yeah, nothing to add really. Really looking forward to it, because now it gets more clear, and it's just a matter of time when they're splitting up, or when when the fronts are building within the inner circle, like the how do you say that with the Marvel context, the Civil War, right? The Civil War of the inner circle is building.
I really like the Sammy Hagar thing. Like having Sammy Hagar from Van Halen comment. It seems like every time they come out, he's showing a new video message. I think that's hilarious. I love that. Like if that's just part of their entrance is a video message from Sammy Hagar, it's just very funny. That was a little off topic, but as I say, it's the most intriguing storyline for me that's solely self-contained in AEW and not branching out into other promotions. Next, do you guys hear wedding bells? It was The Wedding. I know we were all excited about this. Well, I was. I'm going to come to Jack first because I think he's going to be more positive about this segment. Thoughts on the wedding segment, Jack?
I am, Tom. Can I get a negative out of the way before I talk positive? I know you came to me for the positive, but I do have one.
Get it off your chest and just sunshine and rainbows.
Just JR being creepy when Penelope Ford came out. I don't know if anyone else noticed it. Just like, she is there, beautiful. This kind of stuff.
He's had
he
his
always
blue
needs to point that
Jack. Can't help
out.
himself.
Looking good, like really in a like really like grandpa or dad, really cringy way. Though.
It's just like, he's at that age now. It just doesn't. But that's the only funny. But apart from it, I enjoyed it.
Well, just to channel my inner JR, where were the women in beach chairs? I was sorely disappointed. That's every beach themed thing they've done. They've had the ladies in the beach chairs, and now they're gone. I blame JR. I blame JR for creating an unsafe work environment.
But talking about it, this actually took my wrestling wedding virginity. This was my first ever full watch of a wrestling wedding, so I didn't actually know what to expect. I mean, I know I've seen highlights of other ones, so I knew.
Like in real life, I can say if you've seen once, you've seen them all. So.
Yeah, I mean, fair. But no, I thought it was good. I thought it was funny at times. I like Kip Sabian's ego. Like when it passed over Penelope to do her vows and he just immediately cuts her off. I thought that.
Do you notice he had fresh highlights as well? What a prick!
Yeah, he literally is. But no, I thought it was good. Jerry Lynn walking Penelope out. I liked it all. Obviously, the wedding was funny. I know you guys will. I think you were talking in our group chat. You knew who the guy who was doing the wedding. You knew him.
Just cross over to Patrick quick.
But I was going to say, can I just do this before you? Because I was, from my point of view, I didn't know, and I thought it was a bit creepy. So you can talk about that when it gets to Patrick. I just want to quickly. I didn't want to. I thought it'd be nice to have that.
Don't let me step on your toes, son. Keep going. It'll be you. Be the main host. Come to me afterwards.
Fuck it.
So I'd like to hear what you think. No.
Fuck it. I'm the editor.
Are you just going to pop over? Come back again. Go on.
No.
Carry on. Proceed. I apologise. I'm sorry.
Talk about what do they even call them? The people, the vicar. The vicar.
Officiator.
Yeah, talk to us about the officiator. I'm editing it there. Patrick!
Oh, okay, you're done.
I'm not done. We're just popping over to you.
Oh, really? Okay, good. I was just confused because you were
Jack's
talking back and
this
forth.
podcast now.
Okay, good. So, you mean James Mitchell, the former manager of Abyss during the golden time of TNA back then. I was like, when I saw him, like, I know that guy. Who's that again? And then I was like, and then Hugh found out that it's James Mitchell, and then I was directly Abyss manager back from the days when Abyss was the really crazy hardcore guy, always having thumbtacks with him, and I knew him, and I was like, where the hell did they get him from?
At least he still has hair over his eyes, else we might not have recognised him. Jack, would you like to finish your thought now?
Yeah, no, I lost my train of thought now. I was talking about, he creeped me out a bit, but now I know who he is in the context, it's a bit better. But no,
it doesn't really make sense. Why is he there? It's like has Vicky Guerrero adopted Kip Sabian?
Yeah, that was weird as well.
She walked him out like his mum.
Yeah, literally. I was just thinking that actually. Yeah, that was a bit weird. But no, the wedding obviously was fine. Like, Kip Sabian cutting. I like how they stayed in character. And then obviously the main talking point where they talk about the present. I like Miro treating Charles Taylor as an arsehole because he when he was handing out the champagne and he's like, "You're working, Charles," and downed his and then took the other one. Then obviously talk about the presents because obviously the present behind looked like a human-sized present. So obviously beats that up. throws it on the ground, and he's like, Charles, clean that up. I just love that arsehole Miro. But then, yeah, obviously that's when the carnage commenced, and Charles ended up chaining Miro to the ring post, and then out of nowhere, this man on my t-shirt pops out of the cake. It's like I planned it, and
I popped.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew OC was going to be there at some point, but yeah, I liked how it was out of the cake, and then Penelope's face. And when they're walking off, and they sold it really well on commentary, saying that like she was actually crying. And then when they're walking back, they were like,
she did great fake tears.
Yeah, yeah.
And especially as it was during fight, when it really zoomed in on. It was during the fight break when it really zoomed in on her.
Yeah.
I mean, they might have had it picture in picture in the States, but we criticised the camera work, but they caught that when she probably didn't even necessarily know she was on camera.
Yeah.
She had proper red tears in her eyes. It was really good.
Really. And then, like I said, the commentary sold it well because I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was something about remembering this for the rest of your life sort of thing, because obviously the wedding is your wedding, all this sort of stuff. So for me, very good. Well, not very good, just good. Enjoyed it. First wrestling wedding gone, ticked off. The only thing
Ticked
that
off the bucket
annoys
list.
that's it. Only thing that annoys me now is it's still an open story, and it's just like, where do you go from it now? I thought this would have been a nice end to it and something big happen in it. Obviously something big did happen in it, but storyline wise, I don't feel like they've moved, except Charles is free, and it's like, okay, so we're still going to have a feud between best friends and Kip Sabian and Miro. But that's all from me. I'm interested to hear what you guys talk about now. I am muting myself. You guys go.
Well, we'll come to Patrick now, but first, let's start on an inspiring note. What about that rendition of "What Is Love, Baby Don't Hurt Me"? I heard the crowd do it to begin with.
It was so good.
Yeah. And then I laughed really hard when I first heard them doing it. I thought maybe Miro was kind of inviting it the second time after he heard it go off the first time and didn't think it got the recognition it deserved. But even so, it was hilarious.
Yeah, that was cool because I was directly thinking when he was asking what is love, and I got it directly, the melody in my head. So we 90s kids. But anyway, before coming to the bad things, I want to point out a good thing, and I hope I don't get censored for it, but I liked how Penelope Ford looked a lot, because it was not overdone or anything.
She's not Tay-Conti. You won't get the song.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's cool. I can talk about her. No, she looked very good in her dress. I like the dress because it was basically her normal dress, just in white, and with a, how do you call it in English, like a neckline or so.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was just her normal dress. This is what I actually liked. And I actually also liked that Jerry Lynn was coming out as her father, in quotation marks, because...
Was that Jerry Lynn?
That was Jerry Lynn. He looked completely
He looked so different. I legitimately thought that was her actual dad.
I said that in my segment, that it was Jerry Lynn. Listen, Tom.
I didn't. I wasn't paying attention to
Listen to your co-host.
Yeah.
I was just flustered from the mutiny of you taking over the hosting duties of the podcast. I was shooketh. Yeah, Patrick, do continue. You have some negatives, don't you?
Yeah, Jerry Lynn definitely looked somehow like her father. Like he looks like a typical mid-40s, 50s father right now. And by the way, I love Jerry Lynn. Great matches back then, 90s, 2000 against Rob Van Dam and ECW. You have to have a look on it. Otherwise, you missed out a big part of wrestling history. But yeah, the marriage for me, the ceremony was just completely average. I like the bits from Miro where he was just... pinpointing at WWE, oh, that's not my first marriage, and I've seen worse, and it's nice that they did that. These are the points which I like, but in general, it was pretty average.
That might be my only complaint, actually. Even though you liked, so the thing you liked was the thing that I wasn't the biggest fan of. I'm not. I think it comes back to what I said about Sammy and them having to acknowledge stuff. Post kayfabe storytelling. I wasn't the biggest fan of the meta humor. Do you know what I mean? I think they could just be cheesy sometimes. Do you know what I mean? I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm just yearning for the old days and I'm a bit nostalgic. But I feel like you limit yourself in storytelling when you have to be, post kayfabe. I guess when you have to be how they are being. Speaking of kayfabe, they actually had that in their vows, didn't they?
Yeah, right.
With,
and I also liked how JR was referring to that before the wedding.
To have them to grope and then to kayfabe all others or something like that.
That was also really good. And also I like that Kip Sabian was a complete prick, which he is. Greetings to you. You will love me for that. That was nice. But in general, like the whole ceremony, everything happening there was just like, for me, a typical wrestling marriage, like the wedding ceremony. It was clear that OC was coming out somewhere. I like that he was coming out the cake and not the big gift which was standing there, which was Miro already thinking. I also like that actually that they cuffed him up with the in the ringside. I didn't see that at all. Like I was also like, didn't you get that when somebody puts that around your ankle or so? But it was funny in some way. But in the end, it was just a wrestling marriage. Somebody like the bride got her face into the cake. That's completely normal. I think that's a classic. And
tradition. I like it.
It's a tradition. It is what it is. So I'm not saying anything else for that. I'm just curious to see where the storyline is going to, because I just hope it will be over at some point. Hopefully with a better match than the storyline is. I hope this will be at least a good outcome of it. But I don't care.
I think to elicit more emotion in this feud, they could have treated Chuck a lot worse than they did, because we haven't really seen him doing any any demeaning jobs. Like the most they did was at this wedding when they got him to fetch them some mimosas or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Or champagne. Like make him like scrub the floors, or like make it like kind of Theon in Game of Thrones. Do you know what I mean? Like
Jesus, there's treating him badly, and then this goes straight.
Okay.
How badly do you want to treat guys?
Not that harsh. Not that harsh. We're not going to castrate him on telly. That's literally has happened though in wrestling. So, but that was a heavily criticised angle in WWF.
Nothing new.
Nothing new, exactly. But yeah, let's see him get just mistreated a lot more than he was, because I mean at the moment we're supposed to care about this big vindication, getting his own back moment, when what's the worst that's done to him? They've made him wear a suit and stood near them for 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? It's like they probably
bought him the suit as well. He probably got a free suit out of it. It's a holiday.
What did you do to get this angry? I got a free suit. Yeah, they needed to make it more demeaning, I think.
And way more backstage segments in between. They should do like small ones where he has to do demeaning stuff to keep that going. But now it's just a side thing. He's just standing like a penguin in the background who's not moving. So that's just about it.
Like have Kip and Penelope walking outside and there's a puddle or something, so and Penelope doesn't want to get her feet wet, so Kip makes him kneel over the puddle and she steps over his back or something like that. Really just and he'll be sighing in his face the whole time, and then Miro's there and being threatening, and do you know what I mean? They could have done so much more with it. Because I was actually, when they made him his butler rather than this young boy, which was a really weird start to the feud, I was actually pleasantly surprised and hoping they would do more with it. They haven't. This seems to be the kind of him rebelling. He's not going to be the butler anymore. Yeah, I was expecting more. Decent wrestling wedding, though, for me. That brings us on to a Shaq and Cody update. What we all tuned in for Dynamite for. We had a highlights of Shaq on a TNT. I don't know exactly what it was. Maybe one of you do. A TNT post game show for the NBA or something like that.
It's called Inside the NBA, yeah.
Or a talk show probably, because I don't know if it's the regular NBA season at the moment. But Shaq demonstrated his apparently a finisher that he has, which he called Black Tornado, and it was the Judas effect, essentially, or an Eddie Kingston back fist, but I think it was a Judas effect. I think it was his elbow, and then he seemed to do it again, and it seemed to be like a completely different move. It just seems to be a strike, do you know what I mean, of some sort. And then his co-host seemed to get a bit mad at him for getting overexcited. I don't know whether they were acting or not, or whether they just thought the whole thing was as bizarre as we find it. Yeah, I mean, there's really not much to say about this. It is what it is. But I will ask you anyway, Patrick, thoughts?
I actually was on the toilet at this point, so you just told me that he did this thing. I was like, this week, I was like, nope, this gets the
toilet treatment.
Yeah, the toilet treatment is this week with this segment. I didn't want to miss any women's match because there was a really good one this week, and I was just waiting for a segment. I was thinking of the wedding, but I was like, oh no, the wedding might be too interesting to see if something good happens. So yeah, he told me, and I just read quickly over it on the internet. It's just like it's just a build up to the match, and just for getting people over from maybe from NBA on TNT from the show or so, to tell them, oh, Shaq is there, and some other people are more watching NBA to get them to the product. But in the end, it's just like, I don't know, not my cup of tea.
Jack, were you pleasantly surprised and found it a bit of fun, or did you also wish you were taking a shit during this segment?
You know, when I said Darby and Sting was probably the worst moment of the show, this might have been, actually. It's up there. But the only good thing to come out of it, in my opinion, was the fact that some reason in my head, I was thinking it was going to be one of the matches at Revolution. So to find out it's just on an average Dynamite and somewhere in March made me pleasantly surprised. But nah, not looking forward to the match. We're all still done out here with it, and we just want it gone, like Chaos Project. But I did manage to get a laugh out of it when, yeah, like you said, he was being over enthusiastic with his finisher on the show, which made me laugh because it was like he was knocking over the screens to protect each other from COVID.
So, I mean, it can't be the worst moment of the week because there was something redeeming in it.
Yeah. So Darby and Sting win the worst moment of the week. This comes runner up, in my opinion.
The shocker of the week, thank you, with this scream.
Sorry. Shocker of the week.
Shocker. So that takes us in to Eddie Kingston versus Lance Archer. How aggressively did this start? Million miles an hour. Let's come to you, Jack. Thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I was a big fan, but I knew I was always going to be because I enjoyed last week's match. Yeah, it was a nice side. I like the fights breaking out on ringside when they actually, instead of doing the job to the lumberjacks, they just attack. But yeah, no, I honestly, I've not got much to say about this match. I think at this point it was quite a really fun-filled show, really. So I think at this point I was like kind of overwhelmed. But no, I thought it was a good match. I'm glad Lance Archer got the win. That's 1-1 now, so that's open for another match, I think. Yeah, good match. Not match of the week for me, but a good match overall. Loved the lumberjack style with it. Lance Archer's just an absolute machine. I like the bit though where it looked like he was about to drop. What's his finisher called again, Tom?
Who? Lance Archer?
Blackout. That's it.
Oh, when he was about to hit it on
Ali.
Blackout, yeah. When he was about to hit it on Bunny.
Ali, yeah. So that was quite good. So
Bunny.
Again, yeah. Good kind of story. I think it's open for more. Yeah, it was just a good match for me. It wasn't a great match, but I enjoyed it a lot. And I love both guys.
Okay. Well, I thought it started very good. It turned out okay, but I thought it started fantastic. Patrick, thoughts on this lumberjack match?
As strong and fast as it started, so much it dwindled away also quite quick. So I was in the end disappointed from the match because it was really good start. Like, the camera wasn't even ready when Lance Archer stormed out. I love that about him. They're giving him now also the screen time and presence again that he should get. And also the character he is supposed to be. That was cool. What was also, I found it funny that Jake the Snake, who did he like someone, he clotheslined somebody away. I don't know who it was on the outside. Oh, it was Jack Evans. He clotheslined him away. But the camera did hit it like some kind of way. So the camera in this context also like not that good of a direction. The camera switched back to it, and then he was laying down there and was just patting Jake Evans' belly like, yeah, well done, boy, or so, and was smiling. So, but that was kind of funny, and I like Jake the Snake now, having him there. But yeah, about the match, it was really strong, fast start. Then the speed decreased, and then the finisher was great to see. Even seeing it perform on a I wouldn't say chubby, but a little more, a little more W.A.N.K guy that Eddie Kingston is. But I'm also very much hoping for a third best of 3 final match. Hopefully, really hopefully, you can put these guys together in a cage with a lot of weapons in it. Please, some match like this. I'm really starving. I want to see a cage match, something where they're destroying each other completely, because these two guys, who else than these two guys can do it now, really, like in this stipulation they're in almost right now. So please give this to us. Give us finally another cage match. I want to see somebody die, please.
Yeah, I agree with you that it fizzled out after an amazing start. It started so violently in the way they just went for each other, and it didn't even get to the everybody dies bit before they were locking up and pounding the crap out of each other. This, we've talked about, like, what's the match you would recommend someone to introduce them to technical wrestling. If someone asked me what a brawler is, I'd show them this match. Do you know what I mean? Just really selling your violence, really selling aggression rather than any specific wrestling style. And I thought the lumberjack match really added to it, like when Billy Gunn threw Eddie Kingston back in the ring, and Eddie Kingston got out the ring. He thought he was just going to go for revenge on Billy Gunn, but no, he looked at him and then went for Ryan Nemeth. And it's like, why did he attack him? And it's like, just because he's full of aggression and adrenaline. Do you know what I mean? He's got so much anger at the moment, and that really sold it for me, that he's just randomly attacking Lumberjack's back just because he's pissed. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I was like, oh, I feel it, and it was electric. It did fizzle out a little bit. I do agree with you there. But it's still a decent match. Bear Country, I told you I wanted to come to this. Look great. I'm excited to see them. I know people are excited about them and want to see them on the main roster. Fully agree with that. I just wish they'd stop introducing people as if we already know who they are when it's the first time they've been on television, like Jay Cargill, or, but even ones who I like the look of, like Bear Country. Correct me if I'm wrong, they've not appeared on Dynamite before, have they?
No, and I did notice commentary were talking about all these people on the side from Dark as if we were meant to be familiar with them.
It's a problem with AEW, and I've got no problems inserting people in big spots where they've not been established before, as long as you act like they're strict and total strangers, like they did with the Shield when the Shield debuted in WWE. Did they take out Ryback? I think possibly. It was in a match with CM Punk because there was a lot of mystique about, are they CM Punk's henchmen? But I think it might have been Ryback that they put through a triple powerbomb through an announcer's table at, I want to say, TLC or Survivor
Yeah, it was
Series,
TLC 2012,
TLC?
I think. Yeah, it was back then.
That's why I get paid the big bucks, which is no bucks. Good, decent match. Could have been an amazing match. Let itself down a little bit. It could have been match of the night. After that, we had a promo from FTR. It looked like they were in a trailer. At the beginning, I was thinking, where the heck are they? It started to make a bit more sense later on. Turns out they kidnapped Marco Stunt. Loved this. We're talking about me loving Attitude Era storytelling throwbacks. A kidnapping, all for it. Where do we stand on this, guys?
If I'm honest, I kind of forgot a promo, but now you reminded me of Marcus Stunt. I don't know what they're doing with the storyline, because we've had a Jurassic Express versus FTR match. We've had a Jungle Boy versus Dax Howard match. I mean, what's left to do? A Luchasaurus versus
match,
Cash
definitely.
Wheeler? I mean, I feel like cage match. I feel like at Revolution they'll have a FTR versus Jurassic Express, which definitely would work because it's first versus second in the rankings. But I just, sometimes I always feel like once they've had the match, I was like, they needed a bit of time before a rematch. And would we still get the same outcome? Are they trying to still sell FTR as being like one of the best tag teams, or are they trying to push Jurassic Express? In recent weeks, it feels like they've been pushing Jurassic Express. I really don't know. So I'm going to hand this over to you guys, who might be able to make some predictions and see where this storyline's going to go.
Well, I will just say, I think action-oriented presentation of wrestling has kind of conditioned us to say, oh, what match is this going to result in, rather than just looking at a storyline segment like this and thinking, where is this going to go storyline wise? And like, they've kidnapped Marco Stunt, Jack. You don't even have to be thinking about matches right now. Marco Stunt's life is in danger. He's been bound and gagged. He's in an undisclosed location, being held against his will.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even about wrestling right now. They just want to see their friend again, Patrick.
Oh, we need Marco back.
We do. Thoughts, Patrick?
I also loved it like a lot. This this vintage bad guy style, just kidnapping someone, cuffing him to the chair or whatever. That was it's ridiculous. Of course, it must be poor Marco. I also liked it that they took Marco, of course, and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus were in the match. Without him, maybe they took him then. It's like a little storytelling in there. I also, for flashing back to that also again, I like that Luchasaurus was wearing the mask without the horns, with the cut-off horns on it. So that was also very nice. When they keep...
Was he?
Yeah, he was wearing it like that. And if they keep on doing this stuff, like in the end, I hope for also like a big match on Revolution, maybe... I don't know where it will be going then, but it could be also a nice match. I don't want to make it sound ridiculous saying that it is also potential cage match, but like a special stipulation match would be very nice.
I feel like for you, Patrick, every match should be a cage match at this point. You seem to just really
they have
want
to use the
cage match.
cage. And I know for sure that they just don't have one cage. They have two cages or one big cage. So it must come at one place. So
I think what you may be looking for is UFC, Patrick.
I think UFC is pretty boring, but that's another podcast. So.
Who would have known?
But every match is a cage match.
Yeah, but then
To be
it's
fair,
then it's
nobody
like
ever climbs it,
TLC
do
or
they?
so. Then it's like TLC when you have every not Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. When you make a pay-per-view out of it, then now
Makes it
this
less
is what AEW now achieved for me. I want to see a cage match. I want to see this special stipulation now finally. Also the blood and guts match, which we also didn't get because of COVID. This is what I want to see now. But I think they're just waiting for the crowd to be back.
What's stopping them doing it
that's
now?
the thing I'm
That's
looking
what
forward
thinking.
to.
Why can't they? Is Daily's Place not really built for 2 rings and 2 cages? Perhaps I don't know. I feel like why can't you just do it now?
Yeah, it should be
Probably,
doable, I
to be
guess.
fair,
But,
it's quite
yeah, but that's the thing. Just speaking out of like the context from the show now is what I'm looking forward to, or what I like about AEW now, that they can tell the special stipulations, add them in, and you're like, yeah, I'm really excited for this, and not like WWE. Oh, we're good. We're gonna make a whole pay-per-view out of it. We're giving you 20 matches a year from it. So that's the difference, which I like a lot, and just waiting for. As you can see, I'm craving for it.
Well, the thing with WWE is they made me miss regular pay-per-views. I miss Backlash, don't you? Especially with the special stage where they used to have the blade swing in. That was dope.
Oh yeah, that's true. And also New Year's Revolution was also quite good back then. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they're having NXT Vengeance now to talk about something else. So they're introducing old pay-per-view names.
Wasn't Vengeance a WWE show? No, sorry.
Yeah, used to be like.
Wasn't Vengeance a UK only show to begin with?
No, I don't know. That's so. But Vengeance was.
I might be thinking of Insurrection.
Yeah, maybe. But no, Vengeance was in the Ruthless Aggression era. Was a pay-per-view held then.
Yeah, I know.
After was it after WrestleMania, or was Backlash after WrestleMania?
Backlash was right after WrestleMania. It was the Backlash to WrestleMania. Essentially, was what it was named for, I think.
Yeah, but then Vengeance was then after Backlash. I think it was, it was before SummerSlam. Yeah, it was the one in between.
All right. That brings us on to a quick thing to talk about before the main event. I know we're all itching to talk about that. A Joey Janela promo. All I could think of when Joey was talking, and I love Joey, again, this seems to be like a prerequisite, we have to say that before we say anything negative about Joey Janela, because he's Joey Janela. He's founder of GCW. Is he a founder of GCW? He might not be, I might have just made that up. But he's a key figure in GCW and a big thing about the indie revolution and WrestleMania weekend. Fantastic lad, absolute legend. What the fuck has he done to earn this? Like, where they put so much stock on rankings and then just say rankings don't matter by giving somebody who's not even been on TV in ages a shot. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, completely agree with it. The promo was also too short. It was just It was not good. It was just too short. And if people are tuning in now who haven't been there for like half a year or just first time, they're like, who the hell is that? That's the thing you said before. Also, you cannot expect that everyone knows everything about it and around it. I think they just gave him also some time off because of the last GCW events where he was part of, and I think he organized also a lot, like this 24-hour marathon from last weekend and so. But it's just also with the ranking system. Why are they putting him in there again? He clearly hasn't wrestled for a longer time on AEW, either it's Dark or Dynamite itself. So that's just lazy storytelling this time.
Like I said, for a company that puts so much stock in their rankings, and then you turn around and do this, it's inconsistent booking, isn't it, Jack?
Yeah, so I already obviously briefly touched on it earlier when we were talking about Darby Allin moment. But yeah, I think lazy storytelling. I don't like these matches where they're just sprung upon us with no context and no background. It's just a warm-up match for Darby for Revolution. But just when you were talking about rankings right now, I thought let's have a little look at the top 5. John Moxley, obviously storyline is that whole. I feel like it's going to be a Revolution main eventer. Cody has got some wasted, obviously, storyline with Shaq, but that's what he's doing at the moment. Ray Phoenix. Is he? He's probably more world titled than TNT. Miro, definitely Miro could be. I mean, Miro again probably more world titled than TNT, and then Pac again world titled. So I feel like the top 5. This rankings obviously which they put basically I'm not backing up AEW here in any, but their top 5 at the moment are all too big for the TNT title. But that doesn't mean throw in a Joey Janela with no context. I feel like Ricky Starks, if they're doing this whole Team Taz, that could be like a next TNT because he's faced Brian Cage. They want to throw someone else at him. But then again, obviously, you've got the Revolution. But I feel like there's better matches and better context matches you could have rather than Joey Janela's back. Last time we probably saw him in Dynamite was when he was tagging with Sonny Kiss. Then he goes for months and he's back all of a sudden in a title match. I just think even if you are going to eventually give him a title match, maybe give him a match or two on Dynamite /Dark before for a bit of, build up to the title match to make it seem worthy. It just seems like, what you guys said, lazy storytelling. It was like they just randomly generated a wrestler from their roster to have a TNT title match, and it just so happened to be Joey Janela. Could have been anyone.
They could have even done a bit where just a little kind of segue where someone was like, Joey was wanting a title shot, but he's talking to maybe Matt or Nick Jackson or someone who's in a vice presidential or something, that sort of role, but not Tony Khan, who'd be too serious for it. And then make a bet with him, like if he wins X amount of matches during his GCW thing, if he wins all his matches or something. Because again, then they could promote GCW's event, which was a fundraiser. It was a charity fundraiser. So like if they're going to promote GCW, that's the time to do it. Do you know what I mean? They're not actually, you know what I mean? So they could have done that. You could have said, "Oh, hey, you're putting on a big 24-hour show this weekend. You win. You say he's got more than one match. So you win all your matches. Give you a title shot. How's about that? Just to shut him up or something like that." And he's like, "All right." And then that gives people, puts some shines a light on that as well. Another thing I was thinking of is why not just have rankings for the titles rather than like a men's and a women's ranking, like they used to do on the WWE Universe mode in games. You used to have your
Agreed.
For each individual title, and it doesn't mean that people can't be on both. I mean, I know there'd be some sort of algorithm they could work out where this is why some people are on both and this is why not. They don't have to explain to us what it is, but it served the WWE games fine. Like sometimes you'd have people on the US title and the world title kind of rankings, or sometimes they'd just be on the world title, just be on the US. And there was some science behind it, some maths behind it. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm sure it's not beyond the minds at AEW. Any final thoughts on that, Patrick?
I just looked up his last match on Dynamite was 16th of December, the world title eliminator match against Kenny. And then his last dark match was on the 21st of January. So, so much about ranking system and everything.
Right, well, brighter things. The main event. I know you guys are itching to talk about what happened after the match, but we gotta be good. We gotta be patient, and we gotta talk about the match itself, which was very good, I think. I'm sure you guys will too. I mean, they can't put out a bad match, can they? Jack, why don't I come to you first?
So I make this podcast explicit on the website we distribute. So I'm going to say this. This match was my wet dream. This match, literally, it was like someone
It's not
went...
explicit, Jack. It happens to us all. You know, it's,
But it was like...
it's a normal bodily function for a growing boy. Don't you be ashamed.
But it was like someone went in my head and just picked out like my favourite wrestlers, and I was just in love with this match. I just enjoyed every second of it, and I don't think there was a bad point in the match. I think I loved the entrances. Obviously, Kenny's entrance was obviously different to his normal back cry. I don't know if they changed that or they've just done that a joint one with the Good Brothers.
It sounded a bit like AJ Styles era Bullet Club stuff, you know. Da, 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 Ashram,
Yeah.
oh my God,
Yeah, it was a bit
thing,
different.
You know. It was very Bullet Clubby. I don't know if that might still be the official.
But to be
general
fair,
song, but...
I wouldn't mind if it did stay, because it senses that change in obviously character in Kenny. So maybe a new, even though I loved Battle Cry, but there was that, and then I loved the Pac and Phoenix coming out together in the stands, and then Moxley comes, and then they all like kind of high five each other, and then they all go down together and get everything started.
Did you notice they're called Death Triangle, but when they did the hand signal, it was more of a square. They were Death Square.
Death Square. maybe Mox is
maybe
joining.
Moxley, yeah, maybe he's the corner, and Penta back at home is the other corner. And
I wouldn't mind.
together they're Death Square.
I know Mox is obviously a lone wolf, but maybe it could work. A Death Triangle
Jack,
sounds
no,
cooler.
I don't want to see Death Square. Carry on.
I want Death Square. Hashtag Death Square.
Death Square.
But no, in terms of the match, high work rate, really fast. Everyone looked great. Doc Gallows obviously is just an absolute unit, and they talk about it on commentary every time he's in there. Just the size stature between. I loved that it was like Pac and Phoenix when they're there. Obviously up against Doc Gallows, that size difference. Tag in Mox, and Mox is willing to take on anyone, and I love that spirit.
And he called out Doc. No, it's not Doc.
Yeah.
Sorry, Luke Gallows.
Sorry, yeah, Luke Gallows. But yeah, and
No,
like
I was
said,
saying Doc Gallows. It's my fault.
but yeah, high work rate. Everyone did their bit. Everyone looked good. And obviously we're not going to jump straight to them. It's so hard because you just want to. But in terms of match, really big fan. Like I said, just enjoyed it. Arguably match of the night for me. Yeah, everyone was brilliant. Pac and Ray Phoenix just showing they work so well together. But yeah, I just think everyone in that match was perfect. Great match, as expected to be. A great main event for the event. And yeah, that's what I'll finish on that before we talk about the exciting end.
Almost felt like Phoenix and Pac were competing at times. Like they both hit a standing moonsault, didn't they? I think Phoenix's was slightly cleaner. But is to be expected. It would make us look silly for making him the high flyer if he was outflown by Pac. Though Pac is obviously a total all-rounder and he's much beefier, so it's a little unfair. Patrick, thoughts on the match itself? No talking about after the match. That's to come afterwards. You are forbidden.
That's
added
actually
to your
not
list
the
of things you
hardest
can't talk
part.
about.
But that's actually not the hardest part, because I would love to give the women's match, the match of the night trophy, but this main event was just fucking insane, really. Thanks for the explicit tagging, but...
No, fucking insane is the only way you can describe it, for sure.
Fucking insane, fucking hilarious. The rate of great moves, it was just, everything was on point. There was no botch in it. The speed was so high. It's just hilarious. Also, how Phoenix is throwing himself out of the ring, like the tope suicida he does in it, pretty to the end of the match, where he just jumps out. He almost jumps over Doc Gallows. So I was like, what is going on with him? Is he on cocaine or what?
This match was so fast paced. It's the first match I've ever watched on Dynamite since we started doing this podcast where I had to stop my note taking because I was missing something every time I took my eyes off it. So, but one thing I do want to point out as well is Moxley. Something I noticed in this match is he has a signature movement, the way he moves around the ring with his shoulders and his head movements and stuff. And that's something I've noticed that all the greats have. You know, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, they all have a signature way of moving. Chris Benoit had it as well, if we're allowed to mention him. Yeah, it's our podcast, we can if you want.
You are
I already
allowed,
have
I'm
on
not.
another one anyway. Yeah. Oh yeah, true. No, you're just not allowed to talk about is whether he should or should not be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Allowed to talk about his all-level career.
It's almost the same for me.
Because it's going to come up. You mention his name, it's going to come up. Yeah, no, but yeah, I think that really, to me, that's like a sign of a true great in Moxley, with the fact that he's walking around, you're like, oh yeah, that's Moxley. You could look at it's when you could look at a guy in like a green skin suit or something, or like, a blank kind of all over spandex suit or something, or create a wrestler kind of model on a wrestling game, and see him moving around and say, okay, that's John Moxley. Like he's just got presence. You know what I mean? And yeah, fantastic stuff. One downside was, and it was absolutely nothing to do with the in-ring action, was the crowd trying to get a Seven Nation Army style chant going. That didn't match the song for beats. I think it was, oh John Moxley. It was like oh let's go Moxley. That was it. Oh let's go
Yeah,
Moxley.
that was a little too much. Like I don't like how they're just, or Austin Gunn maybe tries to force these crowd chants, because I like more when it's like, especially British crowds, when it's more organic, coming from itself.
Well,
throughout it, and not like a capo who's staying in front of there and just cheering everyone up. This like I don't like that.
That's what I mean. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Seven Nation Army chant was like kind of originated as a British kind of sports chant, I think. Obviously, it's not a British band, the White Stripes, but like Jack will know what I mean. Like Robin Van Persie or Michael Van Gerwen, and they do it for people whose names doesn't have Van
massively.
as well.
It was like the Killers. It's just adopted over here more than America. It's probably bigger over here in America, sort of thing. Anyway, because we Brits find something that has some sort of rhythm to it, and we can make a song out of, and we just roll with it.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, Robin Van Persie, oh, Michael Van Gerwen. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't go, oh, let's go. It's, it hasn't translated very well. But yeah. But other than that, I mean, amazing stuff. The Phoenix kick, when they were running the train in the corner, and he did that kind of kicking off the ropes and spin kick. That was my Phoenix moment of the night, where he does something that I haven't seen before. Yeah, no, great stuff.
Massively, he's awesome.
That was the last spot that I actually recorded on my notes, because it just got too fast paced for me to keep up with recording. Any further thoughts on the match, Patrick?
My favorite spot was the 450 splash from Pac.
Onto the back during the pin?
Phoenix. No, I think did he do it on Phoenix, who was laying on Kenny?
I thought it was on Moxley, or on Kenny, who was on Moxley. I don't know.
I don't know. I think I also don't know who. But this was great. Just really. Yeah, it was Kenny laying on Moxley, right? That's exactly it. And then he was doing it on Kenny, and then they were both like holding. Kenny was holding his back. Pac was holding his tummy, and then Moxley just got up. It's like, oh, I'm good. Although he should be the one who was hurt the most, because he was he was on the bottom. But no, just kidding. This was really, really good. This move, I was like, wow, great, really. So yeah, that was just awesome. The match, really.
But I think there's this moment where they're doing the aerial shot of these three guys with Excalibur saying, unbelievable. He kind of channeled his inner Mario. What's the name of the NXT commentator? Ranello. Mauro
Ranello.
Mauro Ranello, yeah. That was a very Mauro Ranello call. And just thinking these guys, you know what I mean? Like when Pac was just being squandered, and them trying to not letting him out of his contract in WWE, and Mox was Ambrose and was unhappy, and Kenny Omega was outside of that company being the best in the world, and then you see these three come together. It's like, oh, just wrestling's so good right now. When you see when you hear Excalibur shouting that and see these three together, it was dope. I'm gonna let us talk about it now. I've decided.
We're allowed. Jack, let's come to you. You get the distinction. After
Yes, I get to go first. Oh my god! Right,
don't jump the gun. Lance Archer came out first.
Oh god, I feel like.
You know what? Skip it.
Yeah. Right. Actually, to be fair, the Lance Archer thing was cool because it then leads to what's happening next week, which is a social exclusive, which I'll talk about after. But yeah, Lance Archer
Love Lance Archer.
do it, and then what the fuck happens? Someone comes, attacks Moxley, takes off his face mask, nice fitting COVID face mask, takes it off. It's fucking Kenta. There you go. I want that as like a soundboard.
Fucking Kenta.
It made me pop so hard. I don't often pop at Dynamite because sometimes it's spoiled on socials. I know what's coming and that sort of thing. But this genuinely made me pop because it was like we've all dreamt of. So we've had the Impact kind of collaborations. That's cool. We've had the AAA, collaboration. We've had the NWA with the women's. But the one everyone always talks about, wouldn't it be so cool if New Japan and AEW collaborated? Wouldn't that be so cool? And then we've had so many discussions about dream matches. And I don't know if we're just jumping the gun there because, I know they've got their match at the New Beginning, Kenta and John Moxley for the IWGP. No, is it the IWGP US? Yep, title, there we go.
You're
done it. Done well. I know my wrestling now. I'm getting there. But just to see a New Japan star in AEW that's not already contracted to AEW was just the best feeling, and my whole wrestling dream just flashed before my eyes, as did probably everyone.
I'd say that was a significant part of the pop because Kenta, cannot be understated, is a big star. He's a big star. He's not the biggest star. He's not Naito, Ibushi, Okada, or arguably Jay White. He's probably on a par with Jay White, maybe. Maybe a little bit under because he's not the leader of the Bullet Club, do you know what I mean? But he's top 10. Easy top 10.
Yeah.
But it wasn't so much who it was, although it was a big part of who it was because, like I said, he's a big star.
Yeah.
It was this is
the start of something
from New Japan.
Yeah.
This is, AEW have been kind of putting it out there. Tony Khan's been shouting it out there. Everybody's welcome here. Everybody come to AEW. Cross over with us. And it's at this point, it's been like he stood on the edge of a cliff shouting into the darkness and doesn't know where anyone's coming. And then just this fucking ship charges into the cliffs and fucks everything up. And that's Kenta.
It's just cool because everyone's working together. Obviously, WWE's on their own island. Everyone's working together, and that last piece of the puzzle you want to see collaborate is New Japan. And then just in, like you said, Tom, it wasn't so much who it was, it's what it kind of stood for and the possibilities now.
Jack's on the deck, but then he makes a hot tag to Patrick, who comes in hot. Let's go, Patrick.
Tag. Okay, good. So, I have to say I got spoiled. Stupid me. I was on Twitter this morning, and my Twitter timeline was completely full. But I was very happy when I saw this. So it's really so nice, really. That's the forbidden door that opened that everyone talks about. It's a good step also to bring in Kenta from the Bullet Club, which is very important in this constellation.
There's some storytelling going on there, isn't there? With I think Kenny should have tried to sweet him.
Yeah, that would have been great. Yeah, that's true. Also, still that the Good Brothers are there. That would have fitted perfectly. But anyway, this leaves the door open to so many dream matches coming. Maybe they're doing it, maybe overdoing. But the thing you also pointed out before is just realize that probably the three biggest promotions in the world are all teaming up together, and there's just WWE on the other side of it. And they're getting a little bit surrounded by them, I would say, maybe pressured also, I don't know. But that's super interesting to see. So it's a great time to be a wrestling fan, especially the last years. But now this coming up all together. And they don't have an official, partnership with AAA anymore. But I think they will still cross. Yeah, it's a shame, but they will still cross over a little bit with them, I guess. Still, since Kenny is still the mega champion, so that's just thinking about this, the fourth biggest promotions teaming up together is actually bigger than WWE itself, way bigger, and there's so much potential also. On the other side, I was also thinking for AEW getting into the Japanese market, and now NJPW bringing their weekly show to the US, it's just great. You know, like I'm so happy I didn't pop that big, but when I saw it, I was just like more relief. We're like, yeah, finally, come on, guys, this was overdue. Put all the maybe negative thoughts everyone was interpreting into it aside. Maybe it was Harold Kumai was his name, the former CEO of NJPW.
Harold. He had like a short name. Did you say Harold Kumar? Like Harold and Kumar?
Kumai. He had something. He's a Dutch guy, so I thought about something.
No, it was like Harold May or something. Hold on. Harold Mage. Meij. That's nowhere close to Kumai.
Okay.
Kumar, you're thinking of Harold and Kumar.
Yeah, probably. That's it.
Oh, dear.
Another amazing. After Bleacher Roll, now Harold Kumai. My God.
Harold Kumar reporting for Bleacher Roll.
Yeah.
Oh. Anyway.
Yeah, good. But anyway, after all the changes in the CEO roles also at NJPW, if there might have been bad blood between them or so for the elite leaving for AEW, I don't know. Like now it's hopefully all set apart and they're teaming up, also benefiting together a little bit when they're working together during the COVID times to deliver great matches for people not being able to attend the shows. So yeah. And also just coming over, there's like a little glimpse of it that Jay White is also back at NJPW and did not probably sign or turn up somewhere else, but this still, since he's in Bullet Club or still the leader of Bullet Club, it's interesting to see if he will show up at
He's the big
AEW.
one if he shows up. For some reason, he's not my favourite guy in New Japan. That's why I could probably list 5 guys I like more than Jay White in New Japan. Like, you know, Okada be up there for sure. But for some reason, he's the one that if he shows up, I feel like I'll just shit my pants. Like, he's the one that I want to see show up over anyone else. Maybe other than Ibushi because the implications with. But I think maybe it's too soon for that. I think that needs to be a decade-long build or something. Like that's the pinnacle of Kenny's career match. I feel like him versus Ibushi. I feel like there's much more storytelling we could do before we pull that trigger. Like that's his kind of Rock versus Cena. Do you know what I mean? So
I did just do some quick research. Just had a little Google, Tom, on the AEW New Japan. Apparently, obviously, it's a done deal that it's a working relationship now. But it seems a bit funny though, because I just saw that obviously New Japan wanted Mox to defend his US title, and Tony Khan basically blackmailed him, said you can have Mox if you agree to this deal to like work together and have these like collaborations. So it kind of feels like a bit blackmail, but I don't care because it's the dream.
That's hilarious. I mean, what I suppose the other option was, so it's a little bit of a wrestling history moment. They had Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar. One of them had the IWGP title. I don't know, it was Kurt, or one of them won the IWGP title off someone, but it wasn't classed as legitimate. Obviously, I think that was Kurt Angle who wasn't the legitimate champion. Because Brock Lesnar's always recognised in the video packages. But one of them wouldn't defend, and that's why they put it on a new guy. I'm kind of sketchy on the details. I'll come back with a proper story next week, but essentially it kind of reminds me of that. They'd have to do something like that, but they don't really want to do that with such a new title. Do you know what I mean? So I get it. Right. That about wraps up this week's Dynamite. Do I need to ask, what was your match of the night, Patrick?
Yeah, no, like the main event match was match of the night. I would have loved to give it to Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker, but this match in the main event was just so over the top and really good. So yeah, nothing to add there really. We talked about it just a few minutes before.
I agree. Before the show, Jack told me his favourite was Chaos Project versus Hangman Page and Matt Hardy. So it's 2-1 victory.
You know what? That's not even funny. that's just offensive. To be fair, if you've gone for the main event though, just to make it out that it's not a whitewash, I will go for the women's match.
But it was a whitewash.
My head, I want to go for the main event, but just to make it a bit closer. Okay. So I'm representing the women. I'm a feminist. Let's go.
Okay.
I'm part of AEW
next.
Heels.
part of AEW yet. Don't think you're supposed to be. Preview of next week, we have a singles match for the TNT Championship between Darby Allin and Joey Janela. Chris Jericho and MJF versus The Acclaimed. And a tag match between Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson against Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi. Yeah, and there was a social exclusive you wanted to say, Jack?
Yes, I'll reveal it now. I don't know. You two clearly don't know. So prepare. Drum roll. Yes, I'll insert a drum roll here. So it is.
Or putting on a sound after.
It is Lance Archer and Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega and Kenta.
What?
And when you say social exclusive, what do you mean?
So it was announced on Twitter.
Oh, okay, so it is on Dynamite.
It's on Dynamite next week. Our first ever New Japan contracted star.
That's wild.
Going to match with an AEW contract. Honestly, that's a pay-per-view match. Like they always say
he's tagging with the former leader of the Bullet Club as well.
Honestly, and I know we always said they said when they first did Dynamite that like you're gonna have pay-per-view style matches, but this one, like honestly, I mean, you don't even have to ask Tom us like what match we're looking forward to most. Yeah, that is.
I shan't. So that brings us to news. News from the wrestling world this week. Well, I just saw just now that AEW actually completely smashed NXT in the ratings this week. I think.
Oh, did it just come out?
Yeah, AEW were third for the network, I believe, and NXT were 51st. I think they beat by over 2 million viewers. I've got the exact numbers here. If I have a look, Dynamite drew 800,000. Let's try that again. Dynamite drew 844,000 viewers. NXT drew 610,000 viewers. So a whole maths. 200,000 plus 30,000 plus 3,000. Whatever that number
Let's just say 200,000. That's just a number.
Yes. Yeah. Over 200,000. Over 200,000. Decent amount. Yeah. I mean, I feel bad because NXT's kind of their good show. Do you know what I mean? And I am neglecting it. I don't really have a reason to watch with AEW around, and I suspect the numbers kind of reflect a lot of people feel that way as well, because here, they can say it's the main roster. They can say it all they want, but you've got to treat it like it is. Do you know what I mean? And they don't really, especially not until somebody. Not until the NXT title is the main event title at WrestleMania. It's not the main roster. Do you know what I mean? Even if Charlotte kind of, I actually found that out the other day because I didn't watch WrestleMania when that happened. But Charlotte chose, when she won the Royal Rumble last year, she chose Rhea Ripley's NXT title, which is, I mean, that's a start. But like I said, it's not the main roster until it's headlining WrestleMania, and I don't know whether that will ever happen. But AEW is the same sort of wrestling, but it's the only roster. Do you know what I mean? So I suppose that's the appeal for a lot of people, having it taken seriously. Also, Lars Sullivan was released from WWE. I'm assuming Patrick probably has more to say about this because I'm not sure how familiar Jack is with him. Yeah. Thoughts on that, Patrick?
Yeah, there was something that was long overdue, but they had like a really weird relationship in the end. All these things came up in the internet forums. He wrote like this homophobic and racist stuff. I don't know which. I don't know if it was both. I can't remember that anymore exactly.
It was both, yeah.
Yeah, it was both. So yeah, but I also read an article today that he suffers from anxiety disorder and everything since then his dad died. So he's also in a bad place. So
I thought about this.
Yeah, I'm not really happy to hear that also. Like, it's just, maybe it's for the good that he's gone now, and he should really care about his mental health, because I think that's more important than, being this big guy for Vince in this weird company. I think it's way better for him to focus on these private things now. It's not conducted
to mental health, something like WWE, and especially with the kind of politics over there as well.
Right.
Yeah. He said some really messed up stuff. He seems to be kind of unremorseful about some of it as well, because there seems to be a continued pattern of behaviour there. But, as you say, he took some time off. Actually, legit took some time off WWE while he was still, a signed member of the roster, because of, a breakdown or whatever, or I don't want to get into it too much, but for that reason, I really hope someone checks on him, because this is the kind of thing that could, send someone. Let's use this to to send out a kind of PSA: check on your loved ones' mental health, especially with coronavirus.
Yeah, definitely. And don't be afraid if you think you have something or so, like mental health wise, just go see a doctor, check on it. It's nothing to worry of here about. It's just actually normal. So
very true, Patrick. 1 in 4 people, they say. That's 25% is a lot. Then that brings us to less important shows. I'll get an official jingle recorded eventually, and I'll start having to sing into the mic.
I think there's a charm in you singing in the mic.
It's charming. That's love.
I said I think there's a charm in you singing in the mic. I think it adds to it. I don't think we need a professional one, Tom. Screw it.
Yeah, I don't think so too. Until
we're a
we get
DIY
professional
podcast.
one, everyone is used to yours, which is good, so it's fine. So let's keep on going with that.
We've had no complaints so far, so why change it?
Not about that, anyway. Some people have a problem with the name, which, I mean, maybe it's a bit mouthy. Weekly AEW news kicks, quite long, but, you know. What I don't see anything offensive about our podcast.
Me neither. So, by the way, if you want to drop us a line or so, W.A.N.K wrestling@gmail.com. So it's W.A.N.K, W.A.N.K.
W.A.N.K Wrestling. Royal Rumble, we should probably start with. We all bet on the Royal Rumble in our little WhatsApp group chat we've got going on with 7 other fine folks. Who did everybody have again? We did one for the men's and one for the women's. Let's go with women's first.
I had on both. I had number 30 and I didn't win. That's really shit.
Yeah, you had number 30 on both. Natalia in the women's, wasn't it?
I don't know who it was anymore. I don't know who it was for the women's or also the men's anymore. I think the men's. Oh no, the men's was Braun Strowman. So I was sure he wouldn't win. But I was like, oh Jesus Christ.
Jack, you had. Let me see if I can get this. You had Shotzi Blackheart, Alexa Bliss, and I've forgotten the other one. I mean,
you know more than me. I deleted it. Now I've only got the winners.
Enrage. You didn't do too well on the women's.
The women's. I know. Yeah, Shotzi Blackheart, Alexa Bliss, and I genuinely can't remember the other one. But I just remembered that they'd come in, strut their stuff, and then be eliminated straight away. I don't
Jack
think
was the only one who had 0 eliminations across all his wrestlers in one of the rumbles, and that was the one.
Honestly, my women's was just awful, and the men's was not much better. I had a couple better people in the men's. I had Big E, had AJ Styles. I can't remember who else I had. Still, no money was one for me.
None of us 3 won any money, and there was 4 prizes to be had as well, winner and a runner-up for each one. Who do I have for the men's? I had Bayley in the women's. She didn't do as well as I expected. And I had Cesaro was my best one in the men's. So, I mean,
can we talk about this? Now you're bringing up a good point for the wrestling news. This week also it was pointed out that Cesaro's contract is expiring after WrestleMania. So
you're shitting me. Shut the front door.
Yeah, this is giving some room for speculation, which I'm really looking forward to because I really hope that he
bloody speculating.
Yeah, I just don't hope
until the cows come home.
Yeah, right. I just don't want him to extend that because not a world title having on him, like never won a world title, is a shame because he is maybe the most underused wrestler on the whole roster right now at WWE for never having a world title run. So
I think he's won most underrated wrestler in the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards for like over half a decade straight now. It's crazy.
Yeah. Definitely. And you could see that at the Rumble again. He just turned 40 and he just looks like, I don't know, 25, really. Like,
yeah, dude, if not
literally.
now, when, though? Because, you never know, he'll turn a corner and it'll start. He's got to... I mean, that guy could go anywhere. I mean, he wouldn't go to Impact, I don't think, but, he could. He could go to AEW, he could go to New Japan. I think that's how you
definitely with the working relationship right now.
Yeah. Well, I think he fits the style, do you know what I mean? With that kind of tough guy. He's just great. He's so technically gifted and he's a brawler. It's a mishmash of styles and he's just fantastic. And he's strong. He's pound for pound ridiculously strong. I'd like to see that. Of course, Bianca Belair ended up winning the women. Jesus, that's a hard thing to say. Bianca Belair ended up winning the Women's Rumble. Seashells on the seashore. And Edge ended up winning the Men's Rumble to mixed responses on social media. I liked it because I'm a big Edge fan. I'll probably tune into WrestleMania just for his match, to be honest. Have you guys been watching any wrestling, new or old, since last week?
For me personally, I was saying to you earlier, Tom, when we were on our own phone call, I've been watching, obviously AEW religiously. Impact, I watch the highlights each week on YouTube now, so I'm a bit up to date in what's going on there. New Japan, I've started watching the highlights on YouTube, and we'll hopefully watch the New Beginning. And I've also, me and other mutual friend of ours, Liam, in the wrestling group chat, we watch some old wrestling matches each week whilst we're calling. And we watched 2 death matches, old death matches. One from Impact with Sami Callihan versus Jimmy Havoc. And the other was from Lucha Underground. And it was Killshot. And I can't remember who is facing, but it definitely recommend them. It was on Squared Circle as I think it's like people were saying it's one of the best matches Lucha Underground's ever done. So check them out if you've not, and if you just like watching old wrestling matches.
Do you know which match you're talking about there, Patrick? I know Hugh probably would.
Not really, no. Not yet.
Get in
but
touch.
Maybe I'll
And by get in touch, I mean Hugh. Tell
I've got it because I just looked on Google. Killshot versus Dante Fox.
Dante Fox.
Okay, good.
There you go.
Okay, great.
Make sure to check out. It's got certified Jack stamp recommendation.
Certified J.
To be fair, it was brutal. That's all I want to say. It was absolutely brutal.
Check it out.
I'd like to chip in now with the Royal Rumble also, just a quick opinion on that,
sure,
because I'm also a big Edge fan, and on one hand I'm happy for Edge winning it, because like his career was ended and now he's coming back, and still like it didn't change at all. He even got a little better. No
Still
ring rust or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I like that, but on the other hand, I'm not happy with him winning the Rumble, because there's so much young talent in there that doesn't get the spotlight they should get. That's the same with Goldberg, bringing Goldberg back in again and again and again and again, or The Undertaker. I like the Women's Rumble more, also that Bianca Belair won it, and also like from the Rumble itself more, because they showcase the talent there.
They can put it on. They could give the Royal Rumble win to anyone, really, because this is the thing. This is why they've got 2 titles. If they had 1 title, they've got to be a lot more kind of, that's it, that's your main event, you know what I mean? But with the whole brand split years and years ago, and having 2 titles, and 2 titles to pick, well, 3 titles to pick from, technically, but let's be real, 2 titles to pick from, at least in the men's. You know, you can set up a feud, and if it's not going the way you want, or, you know, it doesn't, I don't know if it always is the main event, is it? The Royal Rumble winners, has that happened? It's not always the main event of WrestleMania anymore, is it? It can be like they can put it on the undercard and put a different title as the main event, or am I don't know.
Yeah, they're switching this setup like all the time.
Like Sheamus, when Sheamus won the Royal Rumble, was it him that was that the year he challenged Daniel Bryan? Was the year he won the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, it's same. Was the opening match, I think?
Because that was the opening match. So yeah, it used to be for a main event of WrestleMania, but it's not anymore.
Yeah, that's complete rubbish. Hey, just also, I have to add, I just saw it's actually the main event next week is actually a lights out Falls Count Anywhere match with Kenta and Kenny versus John Moxley and Lance Archer. So
lights out Falls Count Anywhere. Oh, so it's gonna be down and dirty.
Yeah, it's gonna be down and dirty.
That.
I think a certain Terry, how's his full name? Terry Smith has to pay a $10,000 fine again afterwards, I think, as he had to do with the last Lights Out match.
Well, yeah, it's a good place to end it, getting excited about next week. It's been a pleasure having you gents again for another chat.
It's been great to be back.
We did miss you. So until next week, I always steal a different wrestler's thing at the end. So I'll say, remember to know your role and shut your mouth.